How y'all doing today? My name is Tarref Simon. It's been a long time since I uploaded another video on my channel. Today's topic will be about African American leadership has no power over the black community, but they will pretend as if they do. Okay, I'm going to use myself as an example. I am a VA, Veteran Affairs whistleblower. I witnessed Mikey DeBakey water being contaminated and whatnot. And my life was basically turned upside down. Harassment, um, isolation, family and friends basically left me alone, ridiculed, stalked, all type of things, all type of gaslighting tricks played against me, all that. But yet I still weighed the storm. I still trying to fight to get the veterans at Mikey DeBakey VA Medical Hospital the much needed um, um, lawsuit or justice. Okay, here I'm using myself as a an example. Now, what I just told you about me being basically isolated and just credibility or my name being destroyed and all that. Over the years, I had to think outside the box. And something been bothering me for the past 8 years since I've been experiencing this. And this is going to focus on the African American community because, as you can see, well, I'm African American, right? And a lot of hardships I'm facing is that I'm living in the African American community and I'm facing a lot, you know, and I'm going to deal with the African American community. I'm pretty sure this is happening in other communities as well, the Latino, Jewish, white community as well. Well, if a whistleblower stands up or activists stand up, then they have their credibility destroyed, their name destroyed. So, but I'm gonna focus on the African American community on this video. And so the thing is this, okay, what's been happening to me, like I'm being targeted, right? To try to get me to lose my mind or to doubt myself or whatever, or just to certain different things, right? To destroy my credibility, right? And trying to ease me away from telling the truth. I thought about something. I say it's amazing how these leaders in the African American community, churches, mosques, those that attend the lodges, the Masons, the sororities, fraternities, you name it, how they have clout in the African American community. And in my opinion, I feel like that they could have done something to stop this, but apparently not, because some of this is coming from my so-called own people. So I'm thinking, I say, well, if this is used against me to silence me, then why is it not being used against the dope dealers, against the carjackers, the murderers, to force them to turn themselves in, the corrupt people that's in government? Well, we won't have no more crime in the black community because, as you can see, the crime is exploding in our faces as a people. It's constantly being thrown on the screen, on Twitter, robberies, carjackings, murders. That's embarrassing, man. So I thought about that. And I remember some years ago hearing about Olive, Oliver North in the Iran-Contra affair, how dope was being put in the black community. Primarily poor communities, right? Mainly black and Latino. And I thought about that, how the dope was being put in the black community. And I remember some years ago when I was in the National Guard also, talking to some police officers that was in the National Guard with me, with with my unit. They was telling us that dude, that they get commanders, the people in the city, the councilman, the mayor, will actually wait 2 or 3 years when they have a dope dealer that they know selling dope. They know the person selling dope. They'll let him build up a cash stash, like so much amount of money, 2 or 3 years. Then they'll go after him because they're doing calculations saying, well, he should be up to $250,000 or $500,000, so just take him down now. And they will take that money and they'll put it in the city budget. They will pass laws and to make it legal to basically go into that money to spread it around among themselves. While they have these firms they're connected with, like these contracting firms, these subcontracting firms that they're connected with, and they would take that dope money and it was basically they go out and do something for the children or for the community, and they'll write checks to themselves or something legally, even though it's unethical, right? And they would do it like that, and that's how they had money constantly coming in. And I thought about, I said, damn, how I came to that view that that's what they're doing is when Julian Assange said something about how government create walls is to basically get rich, 60 being here, 80 being there, where these politicians have stocks in these companies that making military equipment and also doing construction work. When a war kicks off overseas, they would send these companies over there to basically, bid on these contracts and basically fleece the American people. So I took that and I overlaid it, and that what Julian Assange said, and I thought about. I said that's why, maybe in my opinion, I'm like maybe that's what's going on in the African American community. That's what's going on in the urban cities, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Miami, Chicago, L.A., New York. Of these politicians is doing the same thing. Well, they're allowing, they not gonna say allow, but they are stepping back and they're allowing the dope to just allowing these dope to sell their dope. Then when they get fat and plump, they take them down and they distribute their money to themselves, but they do it in a legal way by passing laws, city ordinance and stuff like that. And that's how they become rich over time. They're doing it on a local scale level like that. In a major scale level with the Congress and senators, they're doing it with the big major contracts, right? So it just blew my mind. I'm like, well, wow, then it made sense. They will go after your activists, your lawyers, your Assanges, your Julian Assanges, me, Tarref Simon, me, VA whistleblower. That's standing up trying to do the right thing. Now we all have a problem. I have, I'm not a saint, but at least I'm trying to do good. But and I said they could have used this technique of targeting people and trying to push. They could have used this to go after the dope dealers. To look here, bro. If you're gonna sell that dope, we're gonna isolate you, right? And we'll make it hard for you because you're destroying the community. Carjackers, go after them. Murderers, you make them turn themselves in. And this technique of targeting people, whatever, could have been used to tamp down the crime in the black community, but it's not being used. So what that told me that what I was facing was basically a government, I feel to believe, inspired program to silence dissenters. When it comes to dope, when it comes to crime, this is how your local, your state, and your local and state make their money by passing laws where, okay, they're taking the money that they seize from the dope dealers, they raided from the dope dealers, and from a legal way by them passing laws at the city council level or state level, they bring in the contractors that they allow, the contracting firms that they set up to divvy the funds amongst themselves. Is that making sense? What I'm saying? Well, and so they wait 2 and 3 years, 5 years, where that person can make $1 million or $2 million. But if they find out about that person within the first 6 months, just say he or she just started out selling dope, doing crime, the person probably made only $30,000 or $40,000, right? But why not take them out then? Why not raid them then? They don't do that. Like I was told some years ago by these these NOPD police officers that was in the National Guard with me, they would just sit back and let them get fat. Then they'll take them down. So within itself, that's a scheme within itself where they're allowing this crime to take place, because if you have drugs in the city, then other crimes are going to come around that. So that's why this video is about the African American leadership. I'm dealing with African Americans because I'm African American. I'm pretty sure this is going on with other communities, right? They are basically not, they are doing what, they are touching certain topics. They will, they will help out the deep state to go after descendants like me. But when it comes down to like going after dope dealers, they won't. The criminals, they won't. They will sit back and let them get fat. Then they go after them and take the resources and distribute it among themselves. This so-called African American leadership is basically hypocrites. On a not micro scale, but macro scale. They can use this technique of, like I said before, they can do two or one things, or both of them. They can, once they find out the people's causing crime, the dope dealers, they can shut it off right down. Then you're gonna see the numbers in the crime in the areas of the city that's bad, that's terrible, goes down. But because they want the money so bad, they want to make this huge amount of money from their mindsets from a legal way, which is unethical. They'll wait for that dope dealer to become fat. Then they'll take that dope dealer down. Like the technique that was being used against me to harsh me by stalking me and gaslighting me, messing with my electronics, sending stuff to my computers and my phone to basically try to corrupt them or whatever. I'm saying to myself, this technique that's being used against me, I'm a dissenter, right? I'm a person that's speaking truth on Mikey D. Baker contaminated water, right? Why that's not using against dope dealers? The thing is, they don't want to use it against dope dealers. They're making money off of them. Both ways. They let them get huge. They take them down. They get a photo out with the dope dealer and the cash. The dope dealer get 30 years in prison. So they're making off money, $30,000 a year per prisoner in jail off of that too. So, well, not really spending $30,000 on that prisoner in jail. But it's like Julian Science said, it's a game. Julian Science saw the macrocosm. He saw the whole picture. And I used his technique. I used what he said about these endless wars, and I broke it down to the city level, the state level, and then I realized why Chicago is so bad. New Orleans, different parts. Because we got this fake ass leadership, black leadership, African American leadership. Not all of them, but some of them is basically looking the other goddamn way, right? When it comes down to the crime, to dope coming in the community. I'll give you an example. Look, the Tuskegee experiment happened years ago, in the 30s. You had African American people taking part in that. that was actually lying to other that was part of the medical staff that was lying to other African Americans, saying that what these doctors doing to them by giving them syphilis is to cure them. Or something. It was saying some crazy stuff to them. I always thought about. I said, why we don't know about these names of these black nurses, these black doctors? They could have went into other programs like MK Ultra, things of that nature, and act as a face where they can disarm the African American man or female that have a legitimate problem with what's being done to them. They're sending this African American person say, man, you need to calm down. These doctors mean right, you know what I'm saying? You need to just take the medicine, whatever, take the chip in your head, whatever. So that puts me in mind, like, when so-called CIA or whatever, deep state, is making their money they off the urban cities, right? Funding their money back into the black budget programs to run coups in other countries, thanks to our weak leadership as that we have as African American. We have a serious weak leadership that they become emboldened. They want more. These the deep state, CIA, whatever you want to call them, become emboldened. So you never know. Well, if they allow, if these black leadership is turning away on dope, so how about we start experimenting on black people? Just give them some contracts. These black leaders, activists, preachers, what else? Congressmen, mayors, contracts. Tell them to hush up, you know? And over time you lose respect. They just lose respect for us. And they do any and everything to us. And in time, the people in the world be looking at us like people from Turkey, Africa be looking at us like, why you can't get your stuff together? What's going on with y'all? And I think I just figured out something, that the reason why we are suffering in the African American community is that the black leadership class, whatever you call them, is just full of it. I think a whole bunch of them is corrupt. I mean, give you an example. They had a bill that was passed in Congress to sanction different parts of Africa that work with Russia and China, mainly Russia. It was African Americans from the Black Congress, that was pushing it. So what they tell you, they put their face on it and everything. Right now, African Americans don't really have leverage. For us to come out of this situation that we're in with crime and pushing for reparations and things of that nature, we as African American people need to understand what's going on in the African American community. That we got a lot of African American leaders that it just don't give a damn. They don't care about their own people. They just want the money. And I think that's the reason why you have the problems that we got going on in the African American community. This dope stuff can be stopped. When you hear about the dope, there's selling dope, and you can stop them in 3 to 6 months, because people talk, people rat, people tell. It does happen. People have eyes and ears to see what's going on. People know who's doing what. Just say experimentation is being done on people, right? People know what's going on. People's not stupid. No matter what color you are, or ethnic group, people's not stupid. So the reason why we got so much trouble going on, because it's being allowed to happen. Black people, the African American leadership is just as much as fault as white people in the white community. The white leadership as. Thank God we got Alice Jones and Lyndon LaRouche telling the truth. But we need more black people to call out other black people in the black community. Why is this going on? Are y'all not doing your job? Are y'all looking the other way? What's going on? Why does this continue going on? The crime over and over again. Dope. The more dope going, the dope affects other crimes. things get worse. You got many ways to solve this. Just like I told y'all, how I was being targeted and how they was putting all this pressure on me, trying to isolate me, family, friends. They can do the same thing. If you really want to destroy the crime in the community, you can do the same thing to the dope dealers on the street. You gonna sell that dope? Well, guess what? Your grandma is not gonna cook for your Sunday dinner. And when you walk to the table at McDonald's, we know we're not gonna be bothered with you no more because you're selling that dope. You're living off of people's vein. You're like a vampire. So stop selling that dope. Get a job. We're gonna help you out the best way we could. And the murderers, turn yourself in. Everybody else, turn yourself in if you did some serious dirt or whatever. But we'll give you a second chance, third chance, but you got to stop doing the crime. And you got to put, you do this to put pressure on them. Just like it's being pressure on me, it can be put pressure on them, but they're not putting pressure on them, on these dope dealers, the criminals, because they don't want to. They're making money off of. But me and other whistleblowers and journalists, they go after. I'm glad I got this out. I've been trying to figure this out for years, and thank y'all for listening to me. What my ideas dealing with what's going on, why things so bad in the black community. I'm gonna have to say this: the black leadership is somewhat responsible indirectly. They're looking the other way. They're not. I mean, even if they can change their mind, though, they can start looking at it and doing something about it. But we're gonna have to start calling each other out. So stand up and do the right thing. I don't care if you've done wrong before. If you looked the other way before, it's time to stand up and do it, because that's what I'm doing. When I started doing when I started becoming a whistleblower, when I started blowing a whistle, I didn't want to do it. I was afraid, but I had to do it. You can conquer your fears. You go through hell dealing with the so-called deep state, whatever you want to call them, but it just, that's the reason why I feel to believe, dealing with the drug issue in the black communities, that the African American leadership is basically full of shit. We could have been worked with Africa, dealing with reparations, other things. We could have built a bridge between us and them. But you had a power clique like, what's the name, Steve Courtney? Steve Courtney said the circle within a circle, the boule. But it's not about the boule. It's about a group of black people that just don't give a damn about their own people. And it's about the money and the privileges. And their thing is to protect the establishment, protect the narrative, keep the lie going. That's what Steve Courtney was saying. Bobby Hemmett. You had the John Henry Clark, almost Wilson. Then you had other white people. You had white people. The men I just said was black, African American, but you had white people like Lyndon LaRouche speaking the truth globally on how geopolitics is being played to destabilize Africa and things of that nature. So thank y'all for listening to me speak. If you want to donate to me, go to Tarref Simon on PayPal. Tarref Simon on PayPal, man. TARREF SIMON. That's TARREF SIMON. Tarref Simon on PayPal if you want to donate. Thank y'all, and thank you, and God bless. And the reason why I'm constantly looking this one, that way, I'm looking at myself on the screen, also the camera right here. I got an iPad. But yeah, so yeah, that's about it. Thank y'all. Free Julian Assange, and release the files on Kennedy, and government release the files on Kennedy and Marcus Garvey, and who else? Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, to find out who murdered them, so we can bring the murderers to justice. And some of these African American leadership need to be brought to justice too. So yeah, thank you. God bless you.